Okay, cool. So we'll just this is end of week 13. I'm here with Aimee. I'm just gonna show her. I'll give her a little critique, advice for painting her character. Did this guy have a name yet? Check. Sure. Check the jester. Sure. And we'll just do a quick, really simple paint over in Photoshop. So what I like to do is when I first have a drawing without any shadows, right? I just try and get out all my everything blocked in with my flat color. So just pure yellow, pure red, pure yellow. The skin is one pure tint, so it looks nice. It looks nice uh, in in just flats. Yeah, sweet. Now, when I'm thinking about light, um, so we'll just pick from here. It's sort of what have you got? It's sort of. Oh, also, is he supposed to be like sinister or kind of friendly or? So, but he's not like a dark character or. So, okay. Okay. Well, so yeah, we wouldn't do some sort of like horror underlighting type of thing. We just do a basic sort of lighting. So, what I usually do is the whole character on a whole is very like yellow and red, very bright colors. So I would choose a cool color for my shadows. I can just go with like usually like whatever the opposite of the dominant color. It's quite like so if you got yellow, opposite of yellow is purple, opposite of orange is blue, that kind of thing. So I can go for like a blue tinted shadow. This is just an aesthetic choice of mine that I think will look kind of nice. Um, then we can pick a light direction. So we can do it like the most logical is just straight from the top, or we can be a bit more fancy and go from the side. What do you reckon? Cool. Because how I think about it is like what gives me some nice lighting. So if I go from the side, we're gonna get um, you know some shadow on the nose, right? And then it's gonna like um, the cast shadow will go onto the cheek, sort of thing. And we can play with like the shadows and that kind of thing. So we can get a bit of a nice lighting scheme with that. But yeah, so if light's coming from the side, then if I'm thinking about the nose as like a cylinder, right? So then this side would be in shadow, yeah. So then the nose. Also, I'll do all the form shadows first before the cast shadows. By form shadow, it's just like just the basic form of everything, right? So the form of his cheek, form of that um, his forehead, form of the hat. The side of his beard. Right? And now I'm thinking about the cast shadow. So this is the shadow that the nose makes by blocking the side of his cheek. So the nose casts a shadow there. That way. So under this top bit of his mustache is going to block a little bit of hair block a little bit of light underneath. And I'm going to vary. I'm going to do the shadow a little jagged just to show like the texture of the hair. thing. Let's see, shadow there, the hat. What else? What else? Oh yeah, his head is making his head is casting a shadow on the rough. So well, that would be in shadow there. That's what it's called, right? The rough, isn't it? This color. And then, of course, the underside of the rough has got to be in some shadow too, right? So like the inside layers of it. This inside layer. Oh, also I had my the layer setting to multiply. Yeah. Like in the layer options over here. Um, 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 the inside of the inside of the ear would be a bit in shadow. I think. Oh, of course. And the hat is on top of his skin, so there's going to be a bit of shadow underneath. That. And then, of course, like the beard casting a shadow on this side of the ruff. So all that's in shadow. Cool. That. And then I guess this is like the inside. So you can sort of do it like, I just press the L button for the lasso, and then I'm just selecting that area and just getting a soft round brush, and then I'm just sort of seeing how it looks. A little bit more shadow on the inside. And also, like, you could just, to help show the form, just using like some line work on top just to show how it's going, like that kind of way. Because it's supposed to go like this, right? It flows like that, and then curves. Oh, are you with me? Oh yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, cool. Like the way the material flows, right? It's sort of going in this sort of curve, like it goes. Is that how it is? Like, yeah, yeah. So also like drawing that sort of thing can help you in figuring out like, oh, where the where the shadow should be, how the shadow should fall, that kind of thing. For this one, for that. And I find that when I put like these sort of grid lines on everything, it sort of becomes a little bit more obvious as to how the shadow should fall. So for that one, it looks like that should be in shadow as well. All that. Yeah. Cool. Like I'll give you an example of this. So when I do cropped because like if I let's have a look. Let me think. Yeah, okay. I drew like a cylinder, and I wanna have another cylinder on top of it, right? And so there's gonna be, I'm gonna do a light going down on there, and there's gonna be a light, a shadow from this cylinder onto the other cylinder, right? So it's in the beginning, it's sort of like, oh, I'm not really sure where to put the shadows, but if I draw like all these sort of wireframe lines, right? It sort of becomes a bit more obvious. So like the light comes from the top, then this side should probably be in shadow, right? And then over here will be in shadow, right? And then this side should be in shadow. We'll have a bit of the form shadow there, but also this top cylinder blocks the bottom one, so the shadow is going to be following the form, right? It has to curve with the shape of the wireframe, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that can kind of help doing that. So I think, yeah, this guy, and then so I've got all my shadows on the blue layer, and then if I go Control U, if I want to, I can make the shadows lighter, change the color. If I want to try a different idea, make the shadows colors green, or do you know how to do that? Control U and then which changes color. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so with the shadow one layer. Oh, also, so like, let's just say we're happy with that, and then if you wanted, you could bring, depending on the effect you want, you could bring in a side light, like a, let's just say, let's make a white light, not too bright. You could bring in, let's say, another light from the side. They do this in a lot of like photography, trying to pop the model from. You could have like this side light. Usually, if your drawing has no lines, so it's just all like color and tone, like a full-on painting, then it's very helpful. But if you do have lines, then that sort of holds everything together. But like if you wanted to show more light from the side. Do you know what I mean? Like just have that side light if you wanted. Um, yeah. And then again, let us do another example just quickly from top-down light. I'll just do pink, a bit red. All right, cool. Yeah, so from top-down, these are sort of like the very simple one, It's just the top. We know that, like, if this is like the curvature of the form, right? Then the shadow must go around sort of the side. And then he's got to cast a shadow on his mustache. And of course, because the mustache is like going like that, right? Then um, cool. Then the shadow must go like kind of follow that sort of form of the mustache, and then the nose has to cast a shadow that curves around it to follow the form. And and yeah, and then you have shadows. You can have shadow like underneath the eyes if you want to. Kind of thing. Shadow of the beard. Yeah. But how I sort of like can sort of think about this on the fly without having to use reference is that I just studied a lot of like lighting scenarios from from portraits to trying to figure out like what's going on. So that's the way you kind of become able to just do it on the fly. Yeah, definitely. Like just like reference images like so much that it's in your brain. Like I know like what typically happens if I have a light from here, and then this is what's going to happen. The nose is going to make this sort of shape. Obviously because this nose is like very stylized and cartoonish. It's making a gigantic, cast shadow. Usually it's pretty subtle. You know, um, I've got to have light like a shadow underneath the cap, right? If the light's coming down, then some of this, right, you've got to be in shadow, right? And then of course they've got to cast a shadow on the cap as well, you know. Um, shadow, shadow, casting a shadow there, casting a shadow here. So everything is sort of like getting in the shadow of the hat. Um, then as we did before, that's in shadow. All the underside there, shadow, shadow. So once you sort of get all these shadows in place, then if you ever wanted to, you can start like painting out the line work. Like if you wanna turn it into full on painting like later on. Like do you personally prefer like full on paintings or more drawings with the lines intact? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So like if you have it's I always find that like once you have the shadows in there, it becomes kind of easier. So for this guy, let's just say, okay, we've got his shadows in. And I'll show you how I would think about continuing it on. Shadows there. Mm, yeah, I think that's kind of okay so far. So that's like top-down lighting, how I would think about it. Back to the side one. Cool. Yeah, so now I got the top down, right? So I got my shadow, so we got enough information there. So now I would sort of I could start painting on top of like, the shine of the nose. You could start adding like, those sort of details. Nose shines there. Start painting out those lines. you know. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of once you've got the side light, the shadows down, it becomes easy. So let's say I have some rim light, some white rim light over here, there. Paint that out, right? Slowly, slowly, and then so then we paint out the line. See what I mean? Or here, right? So let's say we've got your nostril right there, and like we need some like reflected light. So maybe we can do a little bit lighter. So reflected light is basically like, so the main light comes from the top, then some light hits there and then bounces back up into the other side, right? And that's reflected light. So it's always going to be a little bit lighter than the shadow. So for instance, let's say the shadow is, I don't know, 80% dark. The bounce light can never, the bounce light can never, let's say like the main light here, that's like a 100% intensity. The reflected light, because it's by nature, it's weaker, so it always has to be a little bit, like it can never be like, it could never be like pure white, right? It wouldn't make sense because pure white hits there, so this is getting much more less effective in that way. So if I was, just painting that out, painting. Yeah, and so forth and so on. You're painting out the lines with that light, you know. And then, with the beard, you can kind of be a bit more furry and jagged here. Let me think. Yeah, I'll just give you a quick demo what I'm talking about. Yeah, a lot of the time, when you said like things are always mushy, right? Like it's this. So this is the reason why. So you got this, and you've got your basic layer there, and it's only got one tone. It's got one color, so we cannot really tell much about any form or shadow. We don't know. We need shadows are the main thing that will show us some sort of direction of light. So when I add, just that a bit of form, like now something becomes a thing. Like, okay, I know. So the light must be coming from the side, right? This kind of thing. And then what gives it that realism is then it's in a white room, so maybe some white light gets reflected back at it, like something like that. So then you have that sort of bit of realism. So if you got like a circle, so again, you got a circle. How do I show that it's round, that it's a sphere? Very first, a lot of people will go first. They've always put like the highlights first. Like here's my highlight, right? But it doesn't. The highlights don't really matter the most. It's more about this shadow, and that's how we show form. So by putting in that shadow, so we just need two values, right? Like that. And now it looks like it's a sphere. And then if I want to go further, I consider the bounce light, the reflected light, and bring that in. And now it looks a little bit more like it's in the scene, like that. So if show you, if underneath this we had like it's pure red, then the bounce light has to be kind of, to make it look like it's in the scene, the bounce light has to be a little bit, has to be red, like that. And then it looks like it's blending in. You see what I mean? Oh, sorry. Okay. Basically, to make your character kind of look like it's sitting in the environment, you have to take into account the sort of background lighting that reflects into your scene, right? So if I got a red background, it's got a, see, like, so we have the light hitting this sphere. This area is my lightest point, and over here is my shadow, right? But also some light hits the red carpet and then bounces back into the underneath. And that's basically kind of the essence of painting, getting like that 1 value, 2 value, and then the 3 kind of thing. Look over here, we had, you know, the light value, shadow value, and then like the light being reflected back into his nose. But yeah, what I would really advise you is to like do some painting studies. Like what I did is always just, I got like really simple things, like here's my water bottle, here's a toothbrush, here's a piece of fruit, and get like a single light source, like just a lamp, and then do experiments with what happens when you hit a cylinder with one light, or a cube, or or whatever, and that sort of informs you on how to do it. So this guy's just in a white room, so we got some of the white reflecting back up into his head gear. Right. And then you can see that it's so, and I paint those white lines out, and you can see how it looks more realistic, right? We're taking the lines away because we considered like the light value, the shadow value, and then some of the bounce light coming into the scene. See what I mean? Does that make sense? No? Yeah, cool. And then we can go further, and we can go further and really define those eyebrows more. Define those eyebrows more. Maybe he's got some more shadow underneath there. We want to accentuate the cheek a little more, maybe. Yeah, it can be kind of fun. I always like I very seldom like do paintings like just from scratch. Like I just start with straight color and tone. I always, like, I find it, some people can, but I find that for myself, I'm a natural drawer. So drawing everything out and then doing it methodically really helped me. Some people can. Some people, that's like how they're and some people then have problems drawing. They're like, how do you draw? I'm like, what do you mean, how do you draw? You just draw. And then, so it's helpful to find out just like which one you are. And it's okay if you can't go straight into painting, then that's okay. You just have to like figure out your own method. So, but yeah, doing painting studies will really help. Some people, they study from photographs, but it can be very misleading because sometimes they're taking photographs at a weird angle. You can't really tell, is that like the light from like you, the person, the camera, or like something weird in the background, if you can set up your own light source on your desk, then you control everything. You can see, you can like turn the object over, look it around, that kind of stuff. Um, yeah. So yeah, is that sort of make sense? Is that cool? Is there anything else you'd like to ask about? Yeah. I guess basically the essence of painting. I'll just do it real quick. Have you ever heard of the 1-2-3 read? 1-2-3 read. Essentially what we were talking about before, right? Okay, let's say I've got. It's just basically you need 3 sides of a value to show form. Essentially, so okay, with my line work, no problem. Here we go. Oh, I know you'll be able to relate to this. You do the line work, right? You fill in the color, and then whenever and it looks good, you take off the color, you take off the line work, and then it looks like crap. Yeah, and you're like, what happened, right? So like, here's my box, and take off the box. It's cool. Take off the lines. Where'd it go? What happened, right? Because we only have one value, right? If we can put in 2, right? So we have a darker tone, right? Put in 2. So if I did this, right? We got 2, and that's more information, right? But I take the lines off, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I sort of get it. Like light's coming from the top. I get that. But it's not the full story. If I want to get that full story, then one side has to be darkest, right? So now let's darken that up. And now I have my 1-2-3 read, right? 1-2-3. Now we know the brightest, mid-tone, and the shadow side, right? And then obviously we need to have, for realism, we need to have a shadow underneath. I'll just put an amorphous shadow under. All right. Yeah, cool. And so we've got enough information. Now, like I was saying before, if we want to start getting to realism, right, we can take into account the bounce light. You know, the light comes here and hits the box, right? So then you're going to get a little bit of light coming in. Oh no, my computer froze now. Oh, my Photoshop froze. One sec. You can still hear me, right? Yeah, my Photoshop just froze, but it's done this recently, so it might get back in a few secs. I'm afraid to shut down Photoshop because I didn't save. So like, I mean, like I hope the video should record, but like, come on. Okay, I'll just end the task. Back. Should recover. cool, it recovered. Let me just save that. Um, yeah, again, basically 3 reads, one, and then 2, yeah, and then a shadow underneath. Cool, okay, good. So yeah, the light, if you want to go for some realism, right, you're going to have some reflected light on this side, where that white is coming in slightly here, just real slight, you know, some bounce light there. There's not really going to be any bounce light here. This is like the darkest side. So actually what's going to happen is there's actually going to be a little bit more darkness on this side, right? Because like you think about it, like the light bounces here, bouncing into there, but there's nothing to bounce off here. It's like the darkest spot. So this is the darkest, and you know, at the top maybe you'll have you know, the white light catching the rim. You know, on the sides of like your box, the table, there's always have that rim. The rim has the highlight, that kind of thing. So yeah. Yeah, basically the essence of painting. Oh, and also you're gonna have a little bit more like brightness on the top. There's a little bit there, like a bit there. You know? On one side where the light's hitting it, let's just say it's from the side, this will be a little bit brighter. Cool. But essentially, you need 3 values to get across a painting. 1, 2, 3. And that's basically it. And then all the extra stuff, like taking into account the bounce light and that stuff, that's just extra. But yeah, so that's, yeah, definitely. See, like over here, like I mean, the painting worked with just, you know, the basic stuff. But if you want to go further, you know, then we can do more. So let me just see if we got, that's a top down, that's, and then let's see, how is my original? Yeah. Cool. So I'll just give you these both images, and yeah, I think that's it for today. Is any other questions? And yeah, so, cool. And it's a painting demo. Yeah, so just practice painting still life. That's really helpful. Like painting stuff on your desk and just doing it consciously. Like, okay, what's happening here? Why is this shadow doing that? You know, that sort of thing. But yeah, how I do my paintings is I do my line work just like you. I then establish my base tones. You know, so just here's my flat yellow, here's my flat red, flat whatever. I go in there separately on a different layer and figure out my shadows. And I have it on a layer which I can easily adjust until I find my liking. So once I got my shadows, and then I go in with my highlights, you know, the highlight on the nose, or you know, the bounce light, all this kind of stuff. And then you keep on painting. So over here, right, we can see that these, if I painted out this line, we're gonna have nothing, right? There'll be these 2 values, right? So I know that I gotta have one of them just needs to be darker. So I'll just pick this one, and it's gonna be darker, and then we can see that there's a form change, right? See? So line work is a very efficient way of holding everything together. But if you don't want lines, then yeah, you just got to vary those, vary the tones this way. Does that make sense? Sweet, sweet, sweet. And then we have a difference. Cool. Okay, Amy. I think that's it. Thank you for coming. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this course. And yeah, so good luck with the rest of your assignment. And yeah, and, just post stuff in the discussion forum if you need more help, or email me if something's gone crazy wrong. But you seem to be on track. Right, right, right. Right. No problem. Good. And yeah, we've got your little painted character. Yeah, it's cool. All right then. Yeah, if you want. Again, like as you notice, a lot of like in my examples that I showed you on Pinterest or whatever, a lot of that stuff is just super simple. Here's the line work plus basic colors. We don't have to. In production, it's all about clarity. It's not about making a really cool, striking image. It's just like here's in simplest terms what you, the modeler or the animator, need to do. But then, for your own stuff, you can make it nice and fancy and all that kind of stuff. But for this assignment, it's okay if it's simple. Yeah, cool. I think like yeah, even I see like the concept art for a lot of Pixar movies like Up, and I think is Zootopia Pixar or whatever it is. But I mean, even the concept art was just in straight line work and flat colors. It wasn't painted like it was a 3D model. It was just super simple. So yeah, okay. I think that's it for today. Thanks very much for coming. All right, no worries. See ya. You too.